What's up? What's up?
Nard, what up?
What up? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good morning.
Morning.
Nard from the Nard Report. Hey, your episode coming up with is it Tuesday or Monday?
Monday. Tomorrow.
Okay, Monday, yeah. It popped up in my YouTube, so I hit my notification bell.
All right. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Hot Tub Tony, you in here?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And Nard
Excuse
just
my voice, man. I'm battling something.
oh
My
man.
son, my son brought home something. Now I've been fucking around trying to kick it all week.
Oh boy. I
Damn.
tell you, it's going around, whatever it is. It's some we just gotta do what we gotta do, man. But you know,
Yeah, man.
this weather keep changing too. So it's winter. In Georgia, man, it's winter. You get winter, spring, and fall at the same
all,
time.
all at the
Really?
same time.
Yep, that's crazy, man. I remember just the other day, I had some frost on my windshield in the morning. And I was like, "What's going on?" And
Shit, if
Yeah.
you came out early enough this morning, you saw frost on the windshield.
yeah, then the same day, it gonna be 80 degrees. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
yeah, man, we always gotta deal with that stuff, man. But yeah, we on the live and people jumping on, man. We appreciate that too. Uh, and if y'all get a chance, anybody that's out there, make sure you go to 411 Sports World Network on YouTube. Just type in 411 Sports World Network. We're starting up that page again. Also, go to the Nard Report on YouTube and help us out. And just hit a nice subscribe for us and share. We'll appreciate that. And then also on
And
our
new episode tomorrow.
yeah, because your new episode's tomorrow, by the way. So I'm curious about that. So Nard, tell us what you gonna be talking about on Monday.
So tomorrow I'll be talking about some NFL free agency and stuff that's been going on in the NBA. LeBron returned last night, but the Lakers did not have a good win against the Bulls. So I'll
Okay.
talk about that.
Okay, good. I need to know, man, what's going on with my Seahawks, man, because look, we
Oh
gave up
yeah.
we gave up DK Metcalf, but I'm hearing Cooper Cup on the way, and then
Yep.
we let Tyler Lockett go, and I can understand that he's a little long in the tooth now, and I guess you better let him kind of go now while he still got some gas in the tank, and let him help another team, man. Maybe help him try to get a championship. He'll end up in the Seahawks ring of honor and stuff like that in due time. But we got that young
Yeah.
guy from Ohio State, and it's time for him to
Oh,
take.
Jackson Smith.
Yeah, it's time for him to take that slot. So I kind of like what we're doing, man. This goes way back in the time machine, but Seahawks had a guy named Steve Largent that played wide receiver there, and that's who Cooper Cup reminds me of. He reminds me of a Steve Largent. And you ever get a chance, Google Steve Largent and look him up. You'll see how great he was in his day.
For sure.
So, yep. So we'll see what happens there in Seattle. But man, and then I'm assuming you're gonna talk about your Falcons and
Yeah.
hot tub. Your team, the Falcons too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Rise up all day.
All right. That's my son team too. So all y'all roll with the Falcons like that, and we'll hopefully they'll make another jump, man.
Hey man, I'm
Yeah.
questioning a lot of their moves, but Michael Penix. That's all I'm gonna say. Hopefully he turn out.
Yep.
Hey, that is the QB for the Falcons, the QB1.
Even though we paying a quarterback $100 million, that ain't worth a damn.
That was a waste of money.
Let me guess. You gotta be talking about what's his name, man?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirkwood Cuzzo
Your cousins. Yep.
got down got down here and went to Magic City and started showing his ass and then can't play no more.
Hey man, he kind of did that in what
And he
up
was
there in
good for the first
Minnesota.
half of the season.
Did he
Yeah,
do
they
that in
call him
Minnesota?
Mr. October for a reason.
Yeah,
He'll show out all the way up to October, and then he go,
right,
hold on.
right. Because he did that in Minnesota too, man. Had a good start and then just kind of falls apart. But that's how it go.
Yep.
But but yeah, Tub, you want to talk about something today, man. And we want to kick it off with that. Some important information, man, that was laid on your heart to talk about. Let's see if he's still there.
Can you hear me?
No, now we
Yep.
can.
Okay, give me 1 second. I gotta get the name. I gotta get the names right.
Okay. Well, yeah, Hot Tub's gonna talk about something today, man. That he wanted to get out there to the people. Said we was gonna bring it over here to TikTok, talk about it here. And by the way, welcome everybody who's joined in. Uh, Make sure that you subscribe to the TikTok, the YouTube, 411 Sports World Network. Make sure you go to the Nard Report uh, with Nard. You see his name on there on the screen. The Nard Report. He's on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and so is 411 Sports World. So you'll find, just look up Mr. 411 on TikTok and Instagram, and then on YouTube you can go to 411 Sports World Network. And if you can help join us on all those things, that would be great. Also, the one and only Hot Tub Tony. You can look him up on Instagram and TikTok as well.
Uh, on IG, I'm Hot Tub Tony ATL.
Oh, Hot Tub Tony ATL. There we go.
So on March 8th, twin brothers Kadar and Nasir Lewis were found on Bell Mountain in Hiawassee, Georgia. That's extreme North Georgia. That's right there on the border with Tennessee. They they were found dead. And the police labeled their deaths as a murder suicide. That was the initial report that came out, and that would have flew had it not been for the family giving pushback to that narrative that they went up there and killed each other in a murder suicide. And why is this case significant? Why is it sparking? Well, I'm gonna tell you, black folks don't kill themselves like that, and twins definitely don't kill each other in a murder suicide. Well, one thing that came out of the investigation when the GBI started looking back at it, was that they had a flight to Boston that very morning that they were found dead. So a couple of questions come out of that. One question is, if they had a weapon and were supposed to be at the airport, then how would they get through the airport with a weapon? That's number one. Number two, how did they get to Bell Mountain when they don't hike? They're not familiar with the area. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're Somalian. I don't think they're Black American. I could be wrong. When that's gonna be important later. But they were found up there. Now, I've been in Georgia my whole life, some 40, 47 odd years up here. And I can tell you with 100% unequivocation, that was a lynching. I don't care what you hear from the media. I don't care what the GBI report come out with. That was a lynching. And if you are from Georgia, like I'm from Georgia, and you have any familiarity with North Georgia, you would know that North Georgia is a haven for white supremacist gangs and still a stronghold for the Ku Klux Klan. It has always been that. And when I kept seeing the name Hiawassee, Georgia, I said, why did that name of that town sound familiar? On June 8th, 2024, they found a young man, Trevante Jamal Shumpert Hilton. They found him in in the same national park up there that they found the twins hanging from a tree. They labeled his death as a suicide. He was not from the area. He stayed in Lawrenceville, if I'm not mistaken. So how did this black boy from Lawrenceville end up there? Well, I'm gonna thread these needles for you. They're getting lured. These black brothers are getting lured out to these remote areas, especially up in Hiawassee. And I think, and then it's some complicity. It's some complicity in their law enforcement in allowing this to happen. But what's luring them up there is white women. They're getting lured up there by women. That's the only thing that would make a reasonable, rational thinking young man leave and drive 150 miles from the Atlanta area to these remote spots where they're getting killed at. That's the only logical thing that makes sense. And it's ironic that you don't hear the media thread that needle that said you just had a murder last year in the same city. Hiawassee has a population of like 2,400 people. It's a very small town. Ain't that many black people that stay up there. So how do all these black people from the Atlanta area ending up in the North Georgia area getting lynched? And this happens not just in Hiawassee, but North Georgia has at least one questionable murder a year in the North Georgia area where they label it as of a black person and they label it as a suicide. And the people that they're getting are not from Georgia originally. These are people that are new transplants to the city that come to the Atlanta area because, Atlanta's one of those cities that they label a popular city. So everybody comes to move here. But when they move here, they don't understand. It's rules to every city that you go to, and it's rules to Georgia. Around the Atlanta area, you relatively safe because there are a lot of black people there. Do you have to worry about Atlanta crime? Yes. Poverty crimes happen everywhere. But crimes like these, they're relegated to certain areas in Georgia. And I tell you, it's a saying we got up here in Atlanta. You got Atlanta, till you got Georgia. They're two different worlds right there. And when you outside the Atlanta metro area, you in Georgia, bro. And when Goody Mob told y'all that was the dirty South, they meant that. It ain't changed since segregation. It ain't changed since Jim Crow. It's the same Georgia it's always been.
Georgia has always been the same.
It never changed.
Mm.
Whether you in the Savannah area, you look up Kendrick Johnson, that the young man that they found rolled up in a mat in a high school, dead. They actually solved that case. They had an admission of guilt on that case that came out about 4 years ago. Zero media attention. Come to find out, if the confession came out from one of the people that killed him. He was killed by one of his teammates, a white teammate, and the murder was covered up by his dad, who was at the time a FBI agent. You got Tamala Horsford. That was in Cummings, Georgia. That's Forsyth County. And if anybody know Georgia, Forsyth County, that's that Lake Lanier area, Oscarville, where they ran all the black folks off and lynched a lot of black folks. They found Tamala Horsford after she had a sleepover with her white friends. And she mysteriously fell off a 14-foot drop off a balcony. But all the friends say, "Oh, we don't know how it happened. We don't know who did it." But she had some defensive wounds on her body that were unexplained, but yet they still labeled it as an unfortunate accident because she was drinking the night before and she fell.
Hmm.
Don't explain how she got DNA under the fingernail. Don't explain who DNA it is. They just labeled it as an accident. And this is after the GBI stepped in to do an investigation. The GBI has always been used by the state of Georgia as a buffer to keep the federal government out. When the GBI steps in, oh, they say, "Oh, we'll investigate because we're the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. We'll investigate this. You don't have to send the FBI hate crimes division out here. We'll do the investigation." Yet they always come back with the same conclusion that the initial report states. So that's showing that there's a complicity in that law enforcement division right there. Go back to the McMichaels case down in the Ahmaud Arbery case down in um, South Georgia. That was had that not had they not have shared those pictures, we never would have known about that case. But because those rednecks down there were just so incompetent and so blatantly obvious with it, it got national attention. What you don't hear about, yes, you heard about the McMichaels going to jail, and they got federal charges and state charges. But what you didn't hear is the prosecutor, Jackie Johnson, who assisted the cover up, her case was dismissed. They kept pushing her case back till the national attention got off that case. And then they quietly dismissed it and let her keep her law license. So she's still down there practicing law. That's the part that I'm going to get everybody to see. It's more than just the murderers themselves that have to be dealt with. And in this case up in Hiawassee, Georgia, they directly are getting assistance from the GBI for them to cover up. It's on their website. The case of Trevante
Mm-hmm.
from 2024. That's on their website. But do you hear the media, the Georgia media or the national media, coming in and saying, "Hey, we just reported on a murder in this area, or suicide, quote unquote, in this area just last year"? No conclusion has come out of that case that they investigated from last year. Now you had this fresh case in the same area. That's why they playing tricks with the words. They saying Bell Mountain. Well, it's a national park where they found the two. So if you're not familiar with the Georgia area, you're not putting these two pieces together. That's the same place, and that's what they want you to do. So why am I reporting on this? You know,
Well, you say why? I mean, this brought. I never even heard of Bell Mountain.
most people haven't. Most people have, and that's the way they want it. Anything, and I'm gonna tell y'all this. If you come to Georgia, if you come and think about staying down here, anything outside the Atlanta area, you a questionable area. But more especially if you're going north, anything Kennesaw and above, hey man, you in danger. Now, it's not like it was back in Jim Crow where they're gonna be hollering out nigga, 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 nigga every time you walk out the house. No, it's racism is more covert now. They're gonna befriend you now. They get to knowing you, they get to coming around you. You got all these white friends, you isolating yourself from everybody that look like you. And they just setting you up till they get the word that come down and say, "Hey, we need us one." Boom, they already got you lined up because you hang out with them. You've been running with them for the last 2, 3 months or 2, 3 years. You think they your friends? Them are not your friends. Them hillbillies will go from hanging out with you to lynching you all within the course of a day. They have always done this, going back to the 1800s. They have no problem switching up. The biggest the biggest bust of a white supremacist gang in the United States came out that North Georgia area. They busted what 40 some odd white supremacists gang members. It don't look like the Klan of old. They don't look the same no more.
Mm.
They done took off the hood. They done took off the robes for the most part. The older ones still got them, but them younger ones don't wear that. They set up just like any other street gang. They got street gang names, so you just think you dealing with a street gang. No, 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 no. They got white supremacist ties. They clicked in real heavy with white supremacists and law enforcement. And you dealing with towns that have that are very poor. We're not talking about no rich area. These are very poor towns. Their whole economy is based off of the drug trade. They trading in crystal meth and fentanyl. That is the major commodity of that town. So you got criminal activity going on at the same time. You got white supremacist activities going on. Well, if you got law enforcement tied in there, be they family members or be they are complicit on the drug side, they're gonna let them get away with a murder. They're gonna
Mm.
label your murder a suicide. And if your family's not pushing back on it, and your family really has to be tied into somebody to get that kind of pushback, then you're not gonna see any justice. What pissed me off enough to even speak on this was that all our black lawmakers in the Atlanta area are quiet about this. And I get that. Well, that's not their jurisdiction. For the city lawmakers, yes. For our state representative, no, it's not. Where you Raphael Warnock and your John Ossoff said to speak on this. If I'm not mistaken, it's real. It's not their jurisdiction. But you're asking for the black vote coming up next year. Hey, this is a way to garner some support from the black community right here if you want it. Well, how about prosecute this? How about actually give us a real investigation? Take it out of the GBI's hands and put it in the federal government hands.
Hey,
If they ain't closed it down yet.
and talk about that, the GBI to the FBI. So what is the significance of that? What's the significance of the GBI handling a lot of this versus the FBI?
The GBI is our equivalent. It's supposed to be the same equivalent to the FBI. And it was formed, I want to say in the 60s. I think I read it was in the 60s. But they came about as a buffer to keep the federal government, during Jim Crow, during the Jim Crow era, the federal government was tasked to investigate hate crimes in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia came up with the idea for a GBI as a buffer. So in cases that probably should be investigated by the federal government, you have a state agency coming in and saying, well, we are the equivalent of you. We're doing the investigation to your standards. And the trade-off is, and a lot of states have this. Some states don't have this equivalent, but a lot of states, primarily in the South, do have this equivalent. Where they'll have an agency in South Carolina. They have, for example, SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. That's their version of the GBI. And all those agencies do is investigate crimes like if the police are involved in the crime. They're the ones that investigate the police departments. They're the ones that handle civil rights cases and those such. But they do that to keep the federal government out of the state's business.
Okay.
So that allows them to hide a lot of these cases. So we have these case after case after case, and I can go back. I say literally, I have a list of cases that have happened in Georgia over the last 10 years. I stopped it with so many of them, but the average is like one a year, and you're gonna find a case where they say, "Oh, this black person was found in the town square hanging," or "This black person was found in the woods hanging." Black people do not kill themselves in public. We do not go off in public places and kill ourselves where we could be found by any John Smo or Sally on the street. Do black people kill themselves? Oh, of course. Not at the rate that white folks do, but it
I feel like
happens.
everybody can kill themselves.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we do
You're
it
right
where
about that.
we'll be found, where our family will find our bodies. Now that's messed up for the family to find it, but you want to be found. You don't want to be somewhere where you can't be found. So if you see in a case where they say this black person hung themselves, and hanging is not a preferred method of suicide for black people. That is one of the lowest ways that black people kill themselves. And matter of fact, you don't find that in a significant number of black people killing themselves by hanging unless they're in jail. That's where the only place you'll find black people that hang themselves as the most common method of suicide. Not in the general public. So anytime that you see or hear that, that should raise a red flag. Which and what we have to do as a community, we got to start keeping tabs on cases like this because the media is not going to put these together and show the commonality of each one of these cases. They're not going to show you that, hey, this case happened 6 months ago in a town that's 10 minutes away from here. You had a similar case happen. They're going to talk to you if you're not in the state, if you're not familiar with these areas. They're going to have you thinking that those are hundreds of miles away, and they're not. These cases are happening relatively close, within like 50-mile radiuses of each other. So that lets you know it's a cell of people in there that's doing this and getting away with it. Nobody has been prosecuted.
Wow.
I've pushed this on Instagram, and I had so much pushback from black people. I had a woman that told me, I've been living in Forsyth County for 10 years and ain't nothing happened to me. So what you saying is a lie. And I pointed to the case of Tamla Horsford. I said, well, that was just in 2018 in Forsyth County. Oh, well, that's just one case. That's one case that you've heard of.
Shoot, that's still one case too many.
One case too many. And that's discounting all the hundreds and thousands, really, of other, because we remember Oscarville was Lake Lanier.
Mm-hmm.
How many black people got lynched during that time? But it's a group of black folks that coming into the state, and they mostly coming up from up north, but they all coming from other areas that don't want to listen to people from the state. When we tell you, hey man, why are you moving now? You sure you want to move to that area? Oh, nigga, shut up. You don't know what you talking about. Man, it's a couple black folks. I know it's about 20 black folks stay out here. In a town of 2,400, it's 20 black folks. And you gonna hang your hat on that's your backup? Okay. All right. That's what you want to do. Okay. I can't tell you nothing till you think fat meat ain't greasy. So when something happened to you, you then your family want to get up on TV and ask the black community, oh, please come help us, black folks. Oh, black people, come on and rally behind us. No, nigga, you moved your motherfucking ass around them white folks when we told you not to do it, and your family member got lynched. And now you want the whole black community up in arms about it. What you want us to do? It's a town controlled by white supremacists. That means the judge, the law enforcement, the city council. So the people who gonna investigate your people's murder are all in on this shit. And you asking us to do what? What you want us to do? Go up there and riot? Nah, partner. Black folks, sit your ass at home. All you got to do is get on your computer and do what you do and do what we doing right here. Start calling it out. Start bringing attention to it because these areas, they survive because they don't get scrutiny. And the local media ain't gonna scrutinize them, and it's not gonna get to a national level to get that national scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's definitely not home field advantage for you, in that territory. So, hey, you was talking about to obviously, leaning into the situation in Mountain. And before we dive into that situation with the twins, I want to just give some shout outs here. Just going to scroll through some of the names, and we'll continue to do this throughout the morning. And Nard, we're going to talk some Nard's here too, and we're going to talk some sports too. Give kind of like a weekly update on what's going on in the NBA, NFL, and NCAA tournament. But let's see, Bowen Larson, like to say good morning. Bella 77 $. What's up, Bella? That's Ann Bell. Let's see, Foxy 691. Good morning. Vet Med Mayhem 420. Good morning. Duran Wilkerson. Good morning. Pedro Santana. Good morning. Amel Amali. Good morning. Lottie Shea, good morning. Ty Nguyen, good morning. James Allen, good morning. The list goes on and on. All right. Mac Rivera, Hopeful, good morning. G Mel, good morning. RC 1972. Dave, it's DMC 31 for the cores. Let's see, Sadie Adams, all of y'all, good morning. D Law, good morning. Music Magnet, good morning. So the list goes on and on. Please forgive me. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I'll be coming back through the list again. Monique, good morning. 8 Dot, good morning. And we'll keep going on and on and on. Just want to give a shout out to these people for taking the time to join in on 411 Live. And let's see, Amel, good morning. And there's man, so impressed, man, and we appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Make sure you join our respective pages on TikTok and our respective pages on Instagram and also our respective pages on YouTube. We definitely appreciate that. All right, Hot Tub, the twins.
Now,
What's up with this, man?
like I say, and right now I'm speculating on their nationality, but judging off of their names, I'm kind of leaning towards they might be Africans, and that kind of comes into a bigger issue that we got going on. Is that we have an influx of African and Caribbean people into the Georgia, Atlanta area primarily, but into Georgia, period. Now, that's underscored by the immigration of black folks coming back down south anyway. And we've had an influx of people since the 90s from New York coming down. But those people have ties to Georgia. Their family, they may be from New York. They may have been in New York 30, 40, 50 years. But they have family members down south. So they know how they're going to listen to their family members when they move back. They're telling them, hey, man, what's a good area for me to move into? Oh, well, you can move here. You can move here. Don't move here. But those communities, the Africans and the Caribbean community, they don't have that. And if they're not talking to native Georgians to have those conversations with us, they're talking to their fellow immigrants that are here and say, well, I live in this area and the white people leave me alone, so you can move over here. They're leaving you alone for now. When it's not a lot of you, you're in danger. Now, if you have a sizable community such as like Clarkston, Georgia, that's primarily East African. That's that all that Somalian, Eritrean, Ethiopians that live primarily out there. There's a lot of them. So they're relatively safe in their enclave. They've made that city their own. If you have that kind of dynamic in your city, you might be all right. But when you take that same dynamic and drop off, say 20 or 30 of them in Kennesaw, Georgia, that's a recipe for disaster because you have no ties to the bigger black community, and your community ain't big enough to advocate for you, nor do they have the will to advocate for you. So a lot of times when stuff like this happens, it falls through the crack because you don't have no family members here advocating for you. And that's why I challenge them. Hey, you need to start talking to us. You need to start listening to us. When we tell you things about these areas that we have historically stayed in, they don't mess with the black population there because they know that comes with consequences. If I mess with these black folks here, if these black folks been living in Hiawassee, Georgia for the last 100 years, something about them black folks done told them folks leave them alone. And when I say that, that means one thing about Georgia, hey, these black folks out here will go to guns very quickly. We ain't doing too much more. Don't let the civil rights era fool you. We not doing too much marching out here. You know, I've told this story on the YouTube channel. My family, we ended up in Atlanta. My family is originally from Athens, Georgia, on my mother's side, and they from Noonan in Athens.
Okay.
My granddad, my great granddaddy, left Athens because a white man raped one of his daughters, and he was a bricklayer. When she came home and he found out who did it, he went and beat that white man to death with a brick.
Damn.
But that cost my family. He had 20 acres in Athens, Georgia. He had to pack up. and leave immediately. They brothers, my family tells this story. So this is ingrained in my family history. He ran by foot from Athens, Georgia, which is about 60 to 70 miles away, all the way to Atlanta, through the swamp, the whole way. They came to the house. They told his brother, they said, you better have him. You got an hour to have him here. Or if we coming in here and we lynching everybody. His brother packed up my grandmama, the whole family, and the whole family got out of there. They left with the clothes on their back. Everything that they owned was left in Athens, Georgia, and they ran to Atlanta.
Wow.
Man,
They had to find, and it still took like a year or two before they found, because there wasn't no telephones like that, wasn't no internet. So they had to find my granddad, my great granddad, before they reconnected with him. They finally connected with each other, but it took a while. Then my family story ain't even unique. Damn near everybody that I know that's from Georgia has a story like this in their family. I have stories like this on my mama and my dad's side. So we know we're accustomed to this. My granddad on my dad's side, Mr. Charlie was known in Griffin, Georgia. They didn't mess with Mr. Charlie because Mr. Charlie would shoot back, and Mr. Charlie been in the war. Mr. Charlie didn't give a damn about those police. He said, "You come around here on my land, I'm gonna pop your ass," and meant every word of it. And the police knew about it. Police would tell you, leave me. He told them white folks, he leave Mr. Charlie alone. And that's what the word was in Griffin, Georgia. Leave Mr. Charlie alone. Every town got a Mr. Charlie in there. Every town got that one or two black folks in there that don't nobody mess with. Law enforcement know they got guns, know they will shoot you, and they tell you, leave them alone. Leave them alone. You don't want that problem. And they got community ties that when they do pop your ass, the community is gonna back them. Now that spirit, that type of mentality is getting lost here now in the 2020s. We don't have those folks that with that spirit because everybody's scared of law enforcement. Everybody's scared to go to jail, which I understand that. Don't nobody want to go to jail. Don't nobody want to be a martyr. So I completely
don't
understand
nobody
that.
want to be an inmate.
Right. I understand that totally. So I'm not gonna knock you for that. But just know, if don't nobody make a stand on it, if don't nobody say no, we're not gonna allow you to sit up and lynch us, and we be quiet about it, then expect yourself to be right back in Jim Crow. And they'll quietly do it, and before you know it, just black folks will come up missing, and everybody just act like we don't see it. I ain't gonna be that person, bro. That ain't in my spirit to be in there. I got too many riders in my lineage, bro, to let to let that shit happen, and I don't say nothing. I live in an area that was this historically white area. Now, Covington, Georgia, the dynamics changed and the population changed since I moved out here. But when we was not welcome when we moved out here, it was a small black population. I stay on the black part of town in a nice neighborhood that's in the middle square, slap dab in the middle of the hood. I mean, you go outside my neighborhood nice as hell. Go outside the neighborhood, you got the hood right there. But they don't mess with us. We don't mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that because and my old lady didn't understand that when we moved out here. She's like, why would you? The neighborhood is real nice. The house is real nice. But why would you want to stay here? Why not just stay in the neighborhood down the street? I said, because it's black people here. It's no black people there. I said, so I will stay in a nice neighborhood in a black area, in a lower class black area, before I stay in a white neighborhood, in a nice neighborhood, and I'm the only black family there. And she didn't understand that logic at first till she got to living out here and she saw how it was. And she said, I get it now. Yeah, because they not gonna cross that line. That's one thing about Georgia racism. And that I respect this. Everybody know where everybody stay. We don't come around. You got common areas that we all frequent, but when we go home, we stay on our side. They stay on their side. Never the two shall mix. And that stalemate has been in most of Georgia. Uh, TJ, you from down there, that South Georgia area? Is it like that where you from?
Oh man, I mean, you could say that. Uh, is not quite as extreme, but in between areas, it's definitely that way. Um, yeah, I mean, but you still have those type of segments where you do have areas. You know what I'm saying, or you can even see where it used to be that way. So absolutely.
Well, it don't change that much. The South is still the South, no matter how much people try to label it as different. Just because you get a white girlfriend, you thinking that racism don't exist because her family ain't calling you nigga when you come over no more. They still calling you nigga. They just say it quietly. Most race, I know a lot of racist white folks. Surprisingly enough, I know a lot of racist white folks, and they let it be known. But they do have what they call that's my nigga. They will say it. I don't like niggas, but that's my nigga. And it's the mentality that they got out here. They may not like black folks, but it be like one or two black folks. They'll be like, "Well, I like that nigga, and that's my nigga. So hands off my nigga."
Mm.
And they have that. They really do have that mentality down here. I can't speak for nobody else here. I'm speaking solely for the state of Georgia. What I've known for the damn near 50 years I've been on this earth.
You've been in a lot of areas of the state,
Yeah,
because
I have.
of your background and everything. So you've seen a lot there, man. Man, and back to the twins, man, on Bell Mountain. So they were found by hikers, correct?
Hmm.
And the question is, why were they even there? Is that am I right on that?
Yeah, the question is why they work with that. Why were they there? Now,
Mm.
what I'm not seeing off that report was had they checked their cell phone records? Have they checked their social media? Who were they in contact with the day prior to the 24 to 48 hours prior to them being found dead? That's gonna tell you everything. Now, them cell phones, the GBI got custody of them cell phones, and I'm pretty sure the fix is in on there. They probably going through their social media and scrubbing them DMs, deleting everything. But that could be found with a subpoena. If
Hmm.
you subpoena the court to get the phone, no matter if they deleted it or not, you could also subpoena the social media company to get the deleted records. So that's a complicated process, but it's not that complicated.
Right.
A private investigator could do that with a court order. You don't need law enforcement for that. But I'm pretty sure that that'll tell you exactly how to set up WIC. But I'm just me being out here, just me living here. I know it's black folks that love white women. Ain't got no problem with that. Love who you love. But that right there will get you set up all day.
Oh yeah.
And that's the only thing that I can see that get two twin brothers who have a flight the next day to leave their area and go 150 miles away for a setup. They thought they were gonna get some real quick trim from some white girls. And it didn't turn out the way they thought it would.
Wow. Man, as Bella says here, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense. And shout out to the roses there as well. But doesn't make sense, Tub.
It makes sense when you think about it on them lines. Either you going out there, I can't even say you going out there to buy no weed or nothing like that. Because you in Lawrenceville, bro. You can get weed fairly easy without having to go way out. But them the only two reasons I could even see you getting yourself lured and knowing you have a flight in the morning. Then they say they found them with a pistol. Now the family say they didn't have no guns. And no guns registered to them. So where the gun come from? They say, oh, well, they got the gun off the street. In Lawrenceville? They stay in Lawrenceville? No, no. Maybe if they stayed in Decatur, which ain't that far from now, you could say, okay, well, If somebody gave them up, they had a plug with somebody. Is the gun stolen? I don't hear nothing like this. See, I'm asking questions that an investigator should have been asked. Was the gun stolen? And who was the gun stolen from? Who is the gun registered to? Is there a serial number on the gun? If it ain't no serial number on the gun, they scratch the serial number off the gun. You can still run ballistics on the gun.
Yeah, yeah. Hey man,
All of
some of
these. Go ahead,
no,
man. I'm sorry.
no, you good, but it just I'm just some of the details that we're looking at here. Like the parent is saying they 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 don't get into fist fights. They don't even know this area. They don't even know that they're claiming that the kids didn't even know this area. So why would they end up being way over there? You know what I'm saying? There's just no signs of it's just not adding up. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right,
not
instantly that didn't add up. Nothing added up about that. Now, they did make an arrest and they're putting it out. They say, you looking at media reports from a couple of days ago, they say an arrest has been made in the case of the twins, the murder suicide of the twins. They arrested a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter, who took pictures of the crime scene and video of the crime scene and was sharing it on social media. But the way the media is framing that, when you look at all the reports on there, they're saying an arrest was made. That's the media framing this to say an arrest was made, case closed. We not investigating no more. You see what I'm saying? You got to look at how these cases are being reported.
okay. Okay.
So outside of Georgia, the national media gonna say, okay, an arrest was made. Most people not gonna look past the headline. Most people not gonna sit there and read an article that's explaining what the arrest was about. Now, that firefighter that they arrested, he was taking that's trophies. White supremacists love to have trophies of their kills. When you go back to the Ahmaud Arbery case, they were caught because they were sharing the video and of the murder around. That's how they got caught. This is common with white supremacist groups. They love to have trophies. Going back to post slavery, the Reconstruction era, when they would kill black folks, they would take souvenirs. Yeah, you go to a white family that's old enough, they got some. They got some trophies, whether it be black body parts. They got furniture that's made of the leather of the furniture is black people's skin. They got chairs with black people folks had now. And think that stuff don't exist still to this day. It's a store right now in downtown Kennesaw. Now, Kennesaw State University was a major state university. It sits right there in the same town as this. Downtown Kennesaw, they have a Confederate store that sells Confederate and Jim Crow era memorabilia. Still to this day, in 2025, they have been trying to close that store down that I know of for the past 20 years, and the store's still there. The store been in business probably about 40. Downtown Kennesaw, right there in the square. You can go in there, and they're going to look at you crazy when you go in there because you black going in there. But if you white going in there, and people have sent white folks in there, and the white folks approach the owner and say, hey, man, I want to see some of that. Yeah, you got the jigaboo with the black folks with the black faces and the big red lips. Yeah, I see all of that. I want to see the good stuff. And he'll take you right in the back and show you the furniture made from black folks' skin, shoes made from black folks' skin. That's still to this day in 2025. Don't tell me Georgia changed. This still the dirty South. That's what Good and Ma were talking about when they say what you know about the dirty South.
Wait a minute. You said furniture made of skin.
Man, if I'm lying, I'm flying. I ain't seen a bird all day.
Wow.
Look up. Just do a Google search. If you think
Okay.
that I'm lying, Google search Confederate store in Kennesaw, Georgia. And I do this because don't nobody put pieces together. Everybody takes headlines, reports on the headline, and then move on to the next story. I can thread all of these cases, like I told you. Hiawassee, Georgia just had a questionable murder of a black person last year. They found the young man. This probably not even 7 or 8 miles from where they found the twins' bodies at. That's where they found the young black man hung in the state park. It's the same area. And you gonna tell me these are two unrelated cases? Just happens to be the area that black folks love to go to commit suicide in. This random ass state park where any Joe Blow on the street can walk down there, be hiking deep into that trail and say, "Oh damn, I found another nigga hanging." This
Mm.
shit don't sound right. This shit ain't right.
And they
But
were
this
found
is
90 miles away. I mean, this park is 90 miles away from where they were staying. So that's a long way. You know what
that's a
I'm saying?
long ass way. And you
Mm.
mean to tell me so you mean to tell me that just this is a popular destination for black folks to kill themselves at? That's what you want me to believe. You insulted my intelligence by even putting that out there that this was a murder suicide.
Wow. Hey man.
I'm gonna give y'all a story. I'm in Covington, Georgia. I'm from Atlanta, born and bred Atlanta, but I moved out to Covington. We had a medical examiner that has been the medical examiner for the city of Covington for the past 30 years. He has ran unopposed for 30 years. They had a black sister came out. This happened 4 years ago. She ran against him and she won. What they chose to do was that the employees up under her wouldn't go out to the crime scenes, wouldn't pick up bodies. So they and it's the responsibility of the medical examiner. If your employees don't pick up the body, then it's on you to go down there. So they were sitting this sister and her family had to go out there and help her clean crime scenes up. And then the employees up under her went on a campaign to get her fired from her position. Her house was vandalized. She received threatening phone calls on a daily basis. So much so the sister said, "Fuck this, I quit." Now she was more qualified than the white man she replaced. He had zero experience, 0 degrees to hold the position that he held. He got it because he a white man and he was covering up crimes in the Covington area. The police could count on him when they did some dirty shit or when one of their cousins did some dirty shit. Then he would, you know, sweep it under the rug. They wouldn't do no thorough autopsies and investigation. The sister, that's what she campaigned on. She said, I'm buying to change that. They damn near ran her out this city. This happened in 2020. And everything I'm saying, I challenge anybody out here to Google it. Google anything I'm saying. So if I'm lying, you can get on here and call me out in real time. Say, no, hot tub, that shit ain't true. I love my state, but I'm honest about my state. And I done stayed in the Atlanta area, I done stayed in Savannah, I stayed in Statesboro, I stayed in Valdosta, I stayed in Augusta, I stayed in Thomaston, I stayed in Griffin. I done been all around this state. Ain't too much parts of Georgia you can't tell me about that I ain't even been through or lived there for a substantial amount of time. And I'm here to tell you, I know how this shit get down out here. Taliaferro County. I know there's a speed trap they use to lock up black folks to do you dirty. That's been that. I got caught up in that. They've been doing that for decades. You go through Taliaferro County if you think right there on I-20. You go through there speeding if you want to. They got a speed trap. They sit right there on the bridge. They gonna clock you. They gonna lock you up. And if you ain't got no family down here, you might come up missing. You get a little too mouthy at the police officer and it's after dark and ain't nobody else on 20 at the time, you gonna come up missing. Think it's a game. I made it my mission to go around this state and document cases of sundown towns, black folks being lynched. I do this, bro, at the expense of my mental health because
Yeah.
I don't want to see that type of shit happen to my people. So if I can warn my people not to be in certain places, I'm gonna do that. Now, if you choose not to listen to me, that's on you. Tell your people don't call me.
Well, I tell you what, hey man, it's very valuable. I know it's kind of hard hitting, but that's what Hot Tub Tony brings. The one and only Hot Tub Tony brings the hard hitting topics. We have a lot of episodes out there on the YouTube page where we have videos about topics is sports related, non sports related, and this is what we do as part of the 401 Sportsworld Network, and just informative. I think that I think that this is very important to for people to hear and take heed to. Hot tub. We're also going to talk some sports here, ladies and gentlemen. Nard from the Nard Report, he is on here. We'll get to that shortly. But Tub, what do you think the solution should be to all this? At this point now, like, what would be the best solution to close this out?
Um, well, I would ask you, what when you say solution, what do you mean for this particular case?
Yeah, for this particular case with the twins, because like it just like for example, you mentioned that it's not really that public. You know what I'm saying? I know there's some news articles you can find and stuff, but something like this seemed like it should have just been blasted everywhere. Like,
If you
go
if
ahead.
you live in the state of Georgia and you do YouTube, you on Instagram, you got any kind of Instagram or social media presence, you got a lot of followers. Speak on the case. Put the case together like I just put the case together. Maybe my accent and maybe how I talk sometimes it doesn't register with everybody else. Maybe there are people with bigger platforms that can say it better than I can. I don't have no problem with that. Put it together like I just put it together. Lay it out there in a way that makes sense. Is what they telling you logical? Does that make any kind of logical sense with what the report's saying? If it don't, put it together like I just did. If you an attorney and I'm hard on black attorneys because y'all motherfuckers ain't serving the interests of black people. Most of y'all are ambulance chasers. Where are the civil rights attorney? Who want to be the next Thurgood Marshall? Who want to be the next Johnny Cochran? This the case to make your bones in right here. Get your ass out there. Go on and hire. It may not be no money into it, but it's gonna be money into it in the long run. You want to be the next. What's that one they got that do all the civil rights cases now? You got Lee Merritt and you got Ben Crump. You want to be the next Ben Crump? This your case to make your bones in right here. Get a personal time. Get you a private investigator. Go on and subpoena the phone records and start your investigation. Do some actual investigative work and put this case together. And then once you put this case together, lay it on the feet of the GBI, and then turn around there and go to every social media outlet that you can and say, "This is the case we put together. We got to do our own. We got to be our own Scooby Doo mystery Inc. out here, because these folks is not going to investigate our cases like that. So if we don't do it, it ain't gonna get done." And that's what I'm doing right here, man. I'm basically giving the GBI the case. And also, if it, to the larger question that you asked, if you are new to Georgia and you don't know where you should be, find somebody that's actually from here, not somebody that's from your group that just moved here 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and they know about as much as you do. Find somebody who's been here for generation after generation and ask them about the area you think about moving into. See what they say about it. Because I guarantee you they're gonna give you some insight that you ain't thought about, that you ain't seen in your little travel brochures or whatever y'all are looking at to say I want to move to this area. I don't know if you're throwing a dart at the map and saying this look like a good area, because that's what it seemed like you're doing. But anything for a safe bet, anything north of the Atlanta area ain't safe. I don't care how many black folks you got that say it ain't safe. Anything past Kennesaw ain't safe. Shit, really anything in between Atlanta and Macon ain't safe. In between Macon and Columbus ain't safe.
Wow.
Because you got a lot of little small towns in these areas, man, and them small towns is where stuff get hairy for you.
All right. Well, there it is. I'll tell we'll make sure we get this documented where we can re-air it and put it in certain areas and get it on your platform as well. Um, before we switch to the sports topics, how tell you want to give out your social media contact?
Uh, of course, you can find me on TikTok. I'm gonna do something with this. I promise, I'm gonna do something with this TikTok page before they shut it down. So you find me on here, the one on the Hot Tub Tony. I'm also the one on the Hot Tub Tony on Instagram, but that's my backup page. My primary page on Instagram is Hot Tub Tony ATL, and you can find me every Sunday on Mr. 401 Sportsworld on YouTube.
There it is. All right, Tub, we appreciate that, man. You can stay on with us, man. I hope you do. Nard from the Nard Report. Let's go ahead and drop some sports in here to start the new week off.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
start with the NBA, man. LeBron James returned to action against the
Hmm.
Chicago Bulls last night, and I mean he looks phenomenal as he normally does. We can dive into why down the line, probably post career, but he's nonetheless he looks phenomenal physically. Came back and they lost to the Bulls, who's like down there in the Eastern Conference. They're down there at the bottom in that 9-10 area behind the
Yeah,
Hawks in
but they got a
Orlando.
chance to be the AC.
Yeah, they got an outside chance to get to that 8 slot, but this Bulls team, they're scrappy and young. Um, but man, the Lakers are right there sitting in the in the 2, 2, 3 seed slot, area in the
Yeah,
West,
they fourth
and
right
it's
now.
jam and this is jam. It's a log jam up there. This is a game that they needed to take, but it was a blowout, man. Chicago went to LA and blew them out, man. What was your thoughts on the return of LeBron and just the Lakers' performance overall?
First of all, LeBron, I'm glad that he's back. He didn't look amazing, which I didn't really expect for him to have a really great game, like to drop 30 in his return from injury. But he gave it all he had, and Luka had an amazing night, 34 points. And Ruchi Armura did not have a good night. The Lakers just wasn't there. But this Chicago Bulls team is very special right now. Kobe White should be an All Star, and I think the Chicago Bulls will make the playoffs this year.
All right. Okay, but yeah, and from the parts of the game that I watched, that I was kind of in and out watching, some NC2A tournament, and then also flipping back and forth. Also got to take a look at the Bucks. We can talk about them shortly here, but the Lakers, man, defensively, that's been my concern. Is that the defense is going to be the major issue. Um, the points is no problem. I think pretty much every team in the NBA gonna put up 100. It's not the scoring. Uh, Luca is phenomenal. He's a top two player in the NBA, top two, three, at very
Generational
least
talent.
top three, right? And
Yeah.
absolutely, he's a generational talent. He will go down for his era as one of the great ones in his era. So that's not the issue. But the issue with the Lakers is going to be defense and lack of interior defense. And that's what happened when you trade away Anthony Davis. It reared its ugly head last night. There was a super a highway to the basket for the Bulls. There was no real threat inside the paint. Do you think that? Do you agree with me that that's the biggest issue for the Lakers?
Yes, their interior defense. The way they played defense last night, they made the Bulls look like the 90 Bulls out there.
Yeah, yeah. Really, they did, man. And Josh Giddey, who Hot Tub is not a big fan of for some off the court things. Josh Giddey even had like a triple double, and I think he was
Yeah.
up there with about 7 to 8 steals last night as well.
He
So
almost had
he
a quadruple double.
Right. So he almost had double digit points in four categories, and like he never looked that good up to this point in his career. And I think a lot of that comes with the lack of the defense from the Lakers. I don't think LeBron James at this stage of his career and Luca at any stage of his career are going to be known as defenders. Um, you might see a chase down block every here and there, every now and then, but overall, like defense, the foot speed's not there. It's never been there for Luca. It's not there for LeBron anymore because of his age and things. And teams are going to take advantage of that. But once they do, and then there's no resistance at the basket, that's just double trouble to me. So that's my biggest concern for the Lakers. But I also watched the Bucks in Sacramento last night,
Me too.
and no Damian Lillard,
Hmm.
and Giannis with a 9 point. I think he had 9 points in the first half, but he ends up with like almost 30. He had a monster second half, just took over the game, man. So, do you think the Bucks, led by Doc Rivers as the head coach, Darvin Ham assistant, do you think the Bucks, do you think they have a shot here in the East?
Yes, actually, I have a shot at them making the Eastern Conference Finals, potentially upsetting the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. I mean, the second round.
That's a
Hmm.
bold statement right there.
Yep.
That's a
I
bold.
think the Bucks.
That's bold. It is because of what's been going on with them. Like they've been kind of floundering. They're 39-30. That's not a terrible record. But when you're talking about
They're
Giannis,
actually 40-30.
well, 40-30 now with the win, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
so they're 40-30. They're 10 games over 500, which is pretty good. That gets you in the 3-4 seed in the East. Um, they do have weapons. No, don't get me wrong. Damian Lillard, when he's
yeah,
on, he's one of the best out there. I like the Kevin Porter. Coming off the bench with a little firepower. They needed somebody like a Kevin Porter who
oh yeah.
never
Kevin Porter has been big time for the Bucks.
yeah, he never met a shot that he didn't like. So I like that. They need players like that. Kuzma gives them a younger version of a Middleton. You know what I'm saying? Small
Yeah,
forward. I think that was an upgrade in trying to get younger there. But man, like you looking at the Cavs, they're pretty much going to finish with the one seed unless they just
yeah.
fall off the face of the earth, which they're trying to do now with this multiple game losing streak. But they
No, the
have a
Cavs gonna be
comfortable lead.
fine.
Yeah, they got a comfortable league over Boston. So yeah, they could be on a collision course for a second round matchup. But you feel like they're gonna do this. Hot Tub is saying that's a bold statement. Tub, why you think it's bold, man?
Hey man, the Cavs been balling, bro. I
Yeah.
can't even take that
Yeah,
away from them. And the Bucks are consistent. They like you say, they have all the weapons that they need to be successful. But you saying that they can take down the Cavs, bro? That real talk. I'm curious to hear your take
yeah,
on that.
absolutely.
Break
If
these
they're
down for
healthy,
me.
conference finals.
Okay.
Mm.
Because especially if Damian Giannis are healthy.
If who's not healthy?
I'm telling you, if Damian Giannis are healthy for the Bucks in the playoffs, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, okay, if Lillard and Giannis are healthy and ready to go, I mean that's a dangerous 1-2 punch. I know it hasn't went the way that they probably envisioned it to go thus far. They pulling the Oscar Robertson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in 1971 type deal where you got the young big man and then you got the veteran point guard that can score as well. They're trying to rekindle those days of the Bucks. Uh, but we'll just have to see. I think the one issue I do have with Lillard is that defensively, he can be had. And so if you got some good point guard play, you probably can get what you want offensively against Lillard. He's not the defensive stalwart that when they had Drew Holiday. Like Drew
Right.
Holiday was a good, well, not good. I mean, he's a great defender. If he makes any kind of Hall of Fame, it'll be because of his defense. So Lillard doesn't play defense like that, but he does score. So if they're hot, I can see it. I mean, they have what they got the big man. They got
They
Giannis.
got talent.
They have talent. They have some length. Um, we just got to see what they do, man. And some of these matchups too are going to really dictate that. Cavaliers have been on it. They recently been on this losing streak. For me, I'm not concerned about the losing streak because they just had won 16 straight. So, you know, during the course of a season, you're going to have some sort of ups and downs. It's better to have it now while you got a comfortable lead. But I'm gonna leave this for both of y'all. Do y'all think Boston? Do you think we should be looking at Boston as the overall Eastern favorite, or should we look at the Cavs as the overall Eastern Conference favorite?
I'm still looking at Boston because they're the defending NBA champions.
You can't take that away from them.
Yeah, and as much as I want the Cavs, I mean, I'm looking forward to. I hope it's the Cavs and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that'll be a great
Yes.
series, and I think that'll be a great story too. A young team, against a team that was considered young team, which they are technically still young with their star players, but they've started so early in the league. But they're a veteran team now because they had the heartbreak of losing in the finals to Golden State. They've also won the championship by beating the Mavericks. So it'll make for a great series. I agree with you guys. I think Boston should be the favorite. I mean, look, they got 10 players on that they can run out there on you at any time. Doesn't matter who's in or who's out the lineup. They all get it done. So to me, they are the team to beat, especially with the playoff experience. But if I'm the Cavs, I'm definitely trying to make sure I have home court advantage. That makes that intriguing. The Atlanta Hawks. All right. What's your take on this, guys? Because Lou Williams, former Hawk guard, former Georgia high school guard too, played at Gwinnett. But went to the NBA straight from high school while that era was still going on. He says that take a look around the NBA and just look at players. LeBron James usually flanked by some elite player as a teammate or players in plural. You look around, look at Giannis, Damian Lillard, look at Tatum and Brown. It goes on and on and on. Right? Even if Dallas gets together, which we'll talk about shortly, they'll have AD. They'll eventually have Kyrie back next year. Everybody has some sort of running mate. But what about Trae Young? No running mate. What do y'all think the Hawks need to do there?
Well, to me, coming from an Atlanta Hawks fan, Trae Young is doing his thing. We got a defensive player of the year in Dyson Daniels. And I like where our squad is right now. And we have gotten better ever since trading away DeAndre Hunter and Bogey.
Well, you still got Johnson in there. He has breakout moments every now and then, but it's some pieces missing today. We need some veterans on
Mm-hmm.
on the Hawks, bro.
Yeah, to go alongside
You
with these young guys.
Yeah, because you got a team full of young guys. Trae Young being the veteran player on the team. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to make some moves in the offseason. Can they play a spoiler role? Yeah, absolutely. We saw what they did to Boston early in the season. Hawks will show up for games that they not supposed to win. They find a way to win. It's
Look
the
like
other games, it's the other games that they lose.
hey, they beat Golden State last night.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
The games that you would think, oh man, this will give me game. No, the Hawks gonna play you, and they gonna show out. But I mean, they need some more experience, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if Jalen Johnson was healthy right now, we'll be top.
I like how he plays, man. He play hard all the time. Um, they bring him in a lot when he picks up the slack when Trae Young goes out. But
Yeah.
like I said, he's not
Yeah.
healthy right now.
Yeah. I think the Hawks have a lot of those type players. Now they need that one other star player to go along with Trey. So that you can have that 1-2 punch. Like even Golden State, they went out and got Jimmy Butler to go with, Steph Curry. So you gotta get at least that one more player. I would, if I was the Hawks, I would take a look at Phoenix right now, and I would say, look, Phoenix is a team that's floundering. They're fading. Their top three players don't play defense. They don't really have an interior defender. They're just out there, and they're not going anywhere. I would make a move, man. I would try to get Kevin Durant, and that would get
Absolutely.
Now
that
that
would
would be a big move right there.
there you go, and that's what they need. They need to make that one move to give that one guy to go with Trey Young, and that's gonna open up a lot. That's gonna unlock Trey Young even more. And
Yeah,
a guy like KD fits in with any team, so it doesn't matter what the team is, the system. He's not a ball dominant player. He'll get his points with great efficiency. So, and man, can you imagine a Trey Young, Kevin Durant pick and roll situation? You know what I'm saying? Like there's just mismatches all over the place, and that's going to enhance the rest of the roster. So, if I was in management with the Hawks, I'll be trying to get Kevin Durant out of Phoenix.
Yeah, ASAP.
no, I
Uh,
never looked at that as even being a possible move, but that would be huge, bro.
Yeah, that'd be a shot in the arm for the city. It'll be a shot in the arm for the organization. You can even start thinking, you can start thinking possibilities of making it to a finals, with
Yeah,
Kevin
Yep.
in Atlanta. Yeah, because Trey Young will be your star. He'll be your one. Even though Durant is a better player at this stage of Durant's career, you know what I'm saying, versus Trey Young's where he's at right now in his career. He's the younger guy and could get it done. I think you have two all-stars right there, and that would really do some damage in the East, man. I think those two would really wreak havoc. So
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a dangerous duo.
yeah. Well, we'll see what the Hawks do, man. If they're gonna try to give Young somebody else like all these other teams are doing. Um let's knock out the West real quick. We talked about the Lakers. Mavericks. Injuries. That team looked like they could have done some damage, but the injury bug just wiped them out. Anthony
And they
Davis,
barely got players.
yeah, they barely got enough to legally play in the NBA. They almost didn't make the requirement last week and would have had to forfeit the game against Philadelphia. So, but luckily they was able to have enough players. I think they had 7 to 8 players, so they made the cut. But man, Anthony Davis is supposed to come back this week, somewhere within this
Yep.
4 game stretch. Do you think he's enough to at least get them into the playoffs if he returns?
I don't think he's ready to come back. To be honest with you, and from the way it's looking like, that ownership is trying to tank this season, bro. Let's be all the way honest about this. That's you can't
Absolutely.
put this on the player. They're getting injured, so that's gonna happen. But you watching their management make bad decisions, bad trades, all the way across the board. They are self sabotaging that team, and that's it's a lot of speculation out there that they're trying to move it from Dallas to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Yep.
There it is.
that's it. So yeah, they it looks like I mean that would be the best case scenario for them, especially with Kyrie Irving out for the year with that knee injury. They can come back with a strong draft pick this offseason to go along with a return of Kyrie, to go along with a return of AD, to go with a return of Derek Lively. Like they'll basically be coming back with 4 starters next season. And meanwhile, the
And
players that are playing now are gaining
Daniel
experience.
Gafford.
And Gafford, there you go. So, you know, that's a whole lineup right there coming back, plus the draft pick. If they end up with one of those top 4 picks, they're gonna end up with a player that could play next season right away. So they could come back with vengeance next year if they do tank like Hot Tub is saying. They can come back like a monster squad. Quick story, back in the day with Dave Robinson had missed majority of a season back in '96, last 7, and they drafted. They ended up falling into the lottery, won the lottery ball thing, got the first pick. When that year the Boston Celtics were supposed to get it, and everybody knew the Boston would take Tim Duncan, but the Spurs end up getting Tim Duncan, and people don't remember the Spurs back in those days. They were a 50+ win team. They would be kind of like what you look at uh, teams like the Rock,
Boston.
like even like I'll say some similar to a Boston, like a Boston today,
Or
um,
Denver Nuggets.
the Nuggets today were actually better than them. To be honest with you, because David Robinson, well, no, you're about right, about like the Nuggets, yeah. they can win a lot of games, 50 plus games a year. That's what the Spurs were. And then they added Tim Duncan. So that would be like the Denver Nuggets had fallen off the map this year. Joker missed the rest of the season. They get into the NBA lottery, they get the number one pick, and then they draft Cooper Flag. You know what I'm saying? It would be something like that, and that could happen to Dallas. Man, can you imagine if Dallas gets Cooper Flag to come back with Anthony Davis, to come back with Kyrie? Like
Oh, that's gonna be dangerous.
there'll be an instant monster team, and it could happen in San Antonio. That could happen with them because when Miana's out, and they can come back with Cooper Flag next year. So we'll have to see how that all fall.
So we're
Um,
betting on next year for them, not this year, because I think their season is done.
well, I'm right now, yeah, I would lean to that, man. I would lean into that because you would be asking a lot for Anthony Davis to come back from the injury and then play as hard as he has to play to carry this team that's already injury laden. So, yeah, he would have to really really work hard, and they'll probably end up getting hurt again.
Right.
So the better move
Right.
might be to just sit this one out.
Can I say something real quick about the Mavericks?
Yes, sir.
Ever since they traded Luka Doncic, it has been heartbroken, depression, and everything for the Dallas Mavericks and for the city.
Yeah.
Man, have you been seeing the fans reacting to the trade?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're frustrated, man. I mean, Luca was the Mavericks. Like he was their next superstar,
He was the next
player
Dirk
carrying the
Nowitzki.
torch.
Dirk.
He was. He was the next Dirk Nowitzki. Yep.
Right. And everybody was, those two generations worth right there that that lived through that Dirk era. Now they're into their third generation, and now they're getting to see a new guy carry the torch. That's kind of like Laker fans, right? You have Magic Johnson, and then after that you have Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying, on Shaq and Kobe, and then like it was being carried on, and so and then the generation before that had Kareem. You know what I'm saying? Generation before that had Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor. So they were carrying on the torch, and that's what was happening there in Dallas. I think that's why a lot of people are so frustrated. And hey,
But
we know what it is. Management is they don't want to pay that man $300 million. That's what it really came down to.
you think
And they
that's
want
what
the
it all
OG.
came down to? That's
Yeah,
what you think?
I think that, and then in conjunction with that, you got the casino stuff that they about make them owners part or more so about winning off the court with their money.
Mark Cuban, when he owned the Mavericks,
Yep,
he was about bringing championships to the city of Dallas.
yep,
This owner that they have now, they are not they are using the basketball team to parlay their interest in casinos,
exactly.
bro. That's what it boiled down to. None of that made sense to trade Luca for Anthony Davis. That didn't make that didn't make a lick of sense.
If
And
I
he
was
was
They didn't know
already
what
injury
they were talking
prone.
about.
right, right. If I was gonna trade Luca, I don't mind getting Anthony Davis back, but I would have got Anthony Davis plus some
Yeah,
because you're you're asking me to give up the franchise player, arguably top 2, 3 player in the NBA, and at 25 years old, still has a good 12, 13-year window in there, and you want me to give all that up? I'm not gonna
you
do it one for one.
you
I'm gonna do one for a lot.
you just paired him up with Kyrie.
Yeah.
That was a winning duo. Y'all were winning games. None of that made no sense. And it's not boiling down to they don't want to pay him $300 million because they got it to pay him. It ain't like they don't have it. So that's what I'm saying. This is ownership making a business decision for their outside interests over the team. This team is just collateral. They don't care nothing about the city of Dallas and the fan base and what they having to say. That's just gonna give them more leverage because the more the fans getting the uproar, the more they stop coming to the game, the more they stop watching. They're giving the ownership more leeway to move the team to Las Vegas, that's their ultimate goal. Either the city gonna up it and give the money, put the money up for them to build that casino out there in Dallas, or they gonna move the team. And it's gonna play out over the next 2 to 3 years. Watch what I tell you.
Oh yeah,
Oh
I mean
yeah,
that's part of the plan. You know what I'm saying?
And if they don't make no real moves after the season over with and go after some talent, they let you know what's the plan right there.
Yep. Well, we're gonna see what Dallas does, man. OKC. Who's high on OKC?
I am. Shoot, they're the best team in the West. I already got the number one seed locked up. SGA should be the favorite to win MVP this season. As a matter of fact, he should win MVP this season because he leads the league in scoring. He could play defense, generational talent. I just love his game. And plus, when Chet Holmgren came back too, OKC has been very dangerous.
Yeah, I like him, man. I like him, and also I like that they lost to Dallas last year in the second round in Game 7 and heartbreaking fashion. And I think that's the kind of stuff that builds a team long term. Just mentioned earlier that the Celtics had heartbreak. The Jason Tatum era Celtics had heartbreak. They lost a couple of game 7 to LeBron when he was with the Cavs. They lost, to Golden State in the finals. They've had their opportunities to try to get there, and then they finally got there and beat Dallas. I think OKC, that losing to Dallas last year is a lesson. This team is they don't have across the board like the 2-3 superstar kind of combination. They got a whole bunch of players that know how to play, and they play hard. They play with each other, and they play defense as a team. And I think this is
Hmm.
one of those team concepts, um, organizations that the team is going to be bigger. The sum of the parts are going to be bigger than just having 2 or 3 superstar players to try to win it. Because as you mentioned, Nard Hogan
Hmm?
was been out with an injury and they were still rolling. And
Oh yeah,
now he comes back, nobody even knows. A lot of people don't even know who he is. But I mean, he's a 7-footer and he was one of the top picks in the draft a couple years ago. And they rolling with or without him. So he's a plus. You know what I'm saying? Being added to the team. So I like what they're doing. I think they're legit. I don't think it's one of those, well, it's just the regular season, everybody's been dogging it. That's not true. Look at the records of the Rockets and the Lakers and the Nuggets and now the Warriors
Grizzlies.
and the Grizzlies. Look at their records. Those are impressive records. But then when you turn around and look at the top and see OKC's record, they're lapping the field, man. And they're positioning
Yeah,
themselves to do something serious here. And those young legs are going to help them in the postseason too.
They are
that's what I
definitely
like
the
to
most.
mention about too. Now, what you about to say?
Was that
Now,
tough?
they definitely the most complete team in the West, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I say this the best OKC team I've seen ever.
really. One
That's
thing I love about them: young, well coached,
yeah.
Yeah,
energetic, athletic, can play defense, and these boys can ball too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Hey, NFL. We talked about my Seahawks earlier here. DK Metcalf to the Steelers. There's been some movement going on. Any key movements that you guys have noticed?
Nah.
Nothing
I
new.
ain't seen no big movement.
Okay. Uh, I know that man, Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of sitting back waiting to see where he wants to
Hmm.
land. How you guys
Yeah, we're
on
hearing the Giants or the Steelers.
that? Okay. Jameis Winston signed with the Giants. I
Oh
know it's not.
yeah, I just heard about that.
Yeah, I know it's not a major move, but it's a solid move. I think he could. He's probably gonna get some PT this year in New York. Depending on who they draft too, we'll see how the draft goes. But he's probably in a prime position, to play and help the Giants out a little bit. I think that's good for him. He's found a niche in his career to kind of
Hmm.
go to teams that need a quarterback for majority of the season. They need a quarterback for some reason, and he can fill that role. Um, yeah, like I said, we put Metcalf to the Steelers. I think that's an interesting move. Cole from the low could talk about that. That's his squad, but there's a reason why Seattle made that move, and that's my only concern there about DK. He's a monster physically. He made a lot of errors that I was just kind of scratching my head with when he was with us in Seattle. where he would try to run through 5 people and then the ball gets stripped. Like there's a time like the old Willie Nelson song, you gotta know when to hold, know when to fold them. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you gotta just go down and not try to get an extra 1 yard. You know what I'm saying? When you already got the first down, like if he can kind of fix those things, he'll be fine over there in Pittsburgh. They're a physical type team, so a physical receiver kind of fits in for them. Again, Seattle picking up Cooper Kupp, I like that move. Um, that doesn't give us a major drop off at receiver. It gives us a guy that can get you over 100 catches too, from different areas on the field. So I think we'll be okay with him. Um, Penix Jr. with the Falcons, is it confirmed now that he's the true starter from here on out?
From what Morris is saying, their head coach, he's saying that they're going with Penix.
Okay.
Now, where that leaves Kirk Cousins, I don't know, because you can't get rid of him. Nobody's gonna pick up Kirk Cousins with $100 million contract on him.
Right, right.
So
Okay.
I mean that was just a bad move by the general
That was a
manager
waste of
right there.
money.
Yep. Okay. Hey, NCAA tournament men's. We'll talk about the men's real quick. The women's we'll get on that next week because right now on the women's side it's blowout city across the board. Now I will say this: Norfolk State, HBCU, they battled Maryland. They was up 32-30 at halftime, and they end up losing by about 14 points somewhere in there. But they did hold their own as a 13 seed too, by the way, gentlemen. Not the 16 at the bottom or the 15. They was a 13, so that's good respect there. They were known as one of the best mid-major teams in women's college basketball Division One. They was in the top 5 as far as mid-major rankings go. So that's very good for Norfolk State. They did have a guard, Diamond Johnson. She used to play at Rutgers and NC State, and she chose to finish her career at Norfolk State. She said that was one of the best decisions she's made in her basketball career to do that. Um, it would be nice to see more players do that, and as you can see, the result was there. Um, but we'll dive into the women's side of it as they get closer, because that's when all the teams that are more even to play each other. But on the men's side, man, the SEC had, I believe, was it 12 to 14 teams in the tournament? I mean, that's a heck of a lot of teams, man, to be in the tournament. Um, Auburn right now looks like one of the favorites. So does Florida. What do you guys think there? Do you think it'll be an all SEC championship in the men's side on the men's tournament?
It's starting to look like that. The SEC
It's possible.
is this the first time I've honestly seen the SEC make a run on the basketball side like
Yeah.
they have. And it's almost looking like the conference as a whole is trying to transition that image from now. No, we don't just do football. We ball too. And so that's good to see. I'd love to see a all SEC championship going on.
Yeah.
That's good for the conference. The only thing better than that, in my opinion, would be having one of the HBCU teams still in it.
And we're gonna roll back around to that in just a second, hot tub, what you just said there at the end too. But yeah, SEC has been doing this for like I say the last 8 to 10 years now. They've been kind of doing this. The commissioner had mentioned that he wanted an emphasis on basketball, and they started bringing in coaches that, like, for example, Buzz Williams. He was a good coach at Marquette and Virginia Tech. Bringing in, like, South Carolina had brought in a coach. They used to coach at Kansas State when they were good. Uh, they brought in White. He's coaching at Georgia. He coached at Florida before that. They brought in Bruce Pearl. He was a big time coach outside the SEC. They brought him in to coach Auburn, and even Avery Johnson, former NBA player. He had coached Alabama for a while, and like they started bringing in these coaches, these to raise the profile of these teams, and eventually, as you can see now, it's starting to pay off. It doesn't hurt also to bring in Oklahoma and Texas to the conference, which were conferences that used to have they usually had some basketball program teams with them, and Texas Tech as well. So you kind of brought in some teams that already had good basketball history too. So I think you combine that and roll it all together. You're looking at the result of that. And I don't know, but one day maybe a Clemson or a Florida State may join too if they keep expanding this thing. And so that's two more schools that play basketball too. So you know, it can get even. They can probably roll some more teams in too over time. But going back what you said, Hot Tub, about seeing the HBCU do this. Now on the women's side, just talked about Norfolk State women's team. They were able to pull a 5-star to come play for them. And I think that's kind of what's missing, man. I think the 4 and the 5-star black student athletes, um, if we can get more of them to make that decision to play there, and also for the HBCUs to come up with ways, to support that. I think you can see that because in basketball, you only need what, maybe 2, 3
It,
combination of a 4 and a 5-star, and you can be in the mix to do a lot of damage.
well, you gave them the blueprint with what you just said about the SEC. The SEC is doing what a lot of other conferences are not doing. They're playing as individual schools and they have their own agendas, their own programs, what they set up. The SEC went and looked at their conference as a whole and said, yes, we're known for football, but we want to be known as the conference in college sports. So they've made a collective effort, starting with the conference itself and branching off to each one of their teams and say, hey, you will go out there and get you a top tier head coach, get you top tier players. So they're actually gunning for this. They want to see their teams battling it out and keeping everybody out the same way they do in football.
Yeah.
And that's the type of moves that's the type of mentality and those are the type of moves that we need to see on the HBCU side to be successful. Now you mentioned Norfolk, what is it, Norfolk State?
Yeah, Norfolk State. Yeah.
Norfolk State, as far as HBCUs are doing what I wish all of them would do. I mean, completely with their sports program. They're revamping from their football to their basketball, they done women's and men's side.
Yeah.
They're investing in their players. They're investing in their facilities. They wanting to be a legitimate team. They want to be considered a legitimate threat, no matter who they play.
Right.
That's what you need as that mentality across the board. Every HBCU should be gunning for that model right there.
Amen to that, because they did have the women and the men make the tournament this year.
Exactly.
And that's a great move there. The women, they were a 16 seed one year, they were a 15 seed, now they're a 13 seed. So you see the trajectory right there on that end. I watched them against Maryland, and they look like Maryland. Like they didn't
Hmm.
like, what I'm saying? Southern's women, who had a great season by the way too, and they did get the first ever SWAC, Southwest Atlantic Conference women's basketball program to win an NCAA tournament game. They did that. They beat UC San Diego in the play-in game. But then they played UCLA, who was like number 1 overall seed. And when they played UCLA, outside of the big positions, the 4s and the 5s, they could match up with UCLA. But that 4 and 5 position, man, when UCLA was rolling out 6'4", 6'5", and they had 3 or 4 of those, and Southern didn't have any, you could see the difference. And that's, going back what you're saying about, you know, going all in. That's the difference is right now. They're not getting those players like that. So on the men's side, same kind of thing. Alabama State, man, they played Auburn, and you could just see the size differential. And that's going back to the recruiting. So if we can ever see HBCUs solve that, it would be nice to see that, man. It'd be nice to see a run, like how we see runs by schools like Davidson and and all these schools. You know what I'm saying? Like Drake and all that. Like this can be the same thing for HBCU. You can do it. It can be
They,
done.
they're going to have to get out that mind frame of trying to get players on the cheap. We're not
Yeah.
in that era anymore.
So how do you
You're
do
not
that?
going.
how do you do that when your budgets are so different than others? What would be a good way to do that? How to?
You're gonna have to leverage the history of the school and go out there and get some loans and engage your boosters to put up that money so you can go utilize the NIL era and go and get some talent that you need to fill those holes in your squad.
Yeah.
It's not that hard nowadays. It used to be hard recruiting before. Now the right price will get any player to your team. You can pay for a championship team and right now in college basketball. I don't know why they're not looking at that as an option.
Well, we're gonna send this to them and see which one buys in on it. Because it's there. You're absolutely right. It's there. And remember, you even talked about Netflix. Remember, we was talking about use Netflix. I mean,
hmm
games
Get
on
you
Netflix.
get you a TV deal in place.
Yeah,
Use that revenue and start spreading it out amongst the conferences. The conferences come in and say, "Hey, what do you need at this school right here? Okay, we got X amount of dollars for that. We're gonna get that to you. You go out there and you go get the talent that you want. Now, will you get the top tier talent? Probably not, but you can get that second string talent that's just as good, but don't have that name recognition behind them that they're looking to make a mark for themselves.
there you
Go
go.
get them. Go get them now. Make them hot. If their chances are they're gonna leave you, yeah, they're gonna go to a bigger school. They can pay them more money, but you got them for at least a year or two,
Yeah.
and you make
Hey,
that run.
good example is Steph Curry. Remember, Steph Curry was playing at Davidson. He was
hmm
overlooked. He was overlooked as a collegiate player. He probably wasn't quite developed yet physically, so he was too small, quote unquote, for the major D1 schools. So he played at Davidson. Like that would have been a great opportunity for, like, let's just say North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. They could have went after Curry, who was being overlooked by the Wake Forests and the Virginia Techs and all them, and North Carolina and Duke and all that, because they didn't think he was D1 material yet, major D1 material, excuse me. That's when they could have jumped all over a Curry, man. Like, man, let's get Curry over here. And he could carry you, as you see what he did with Davidson. He carried Davidson, you
hmm
know, for several games in there. So all you really, like I'm saying, going back to what we said, all you need is really one, two, three players max, and you in there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because everybody else is about the same. It just matter having those two or three impact players, and man, you could really do some damage.
Yeah. For the HBCU system, the basketball, the field is more level than it is on, say, the football side, where you have to put together a complete team. You don't need that many pieces. You have a solid team in place with a lot of these schools, man. Like you say, that one impact player. So that's not going to cost you that much. If it costs you, $500,000 on the NIL deal, it's a player that'll take that.
Yeah,
That'll be that player for you.
yeah,
But they're gonna have to make that commitment to say, okay, we're gonna have to stop being cheap. Stop thinking that we can recruit the old way and just get into this new frame of mind that every school is going to.
I agree with that, man, wholeheartedly. So I love to see it happen. It definitely can. So we'll see what happens there, man, on that front. All right, Nara, you want anything else before we roll out of here?
Oh yes, one more thing I like to talk about the Mavericks. Man, I just feel bad for their city, their fans. Don't get me wrong, Kyrie and AD will be a great duo for the future, but as of right now, AD's supposed to come back, yes, and he's gonna try to do his best to bring the city back and get them into a late playoff push.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there in the Big D, and hopefully they can at least, man, the way the NBA set up, man, everybody can darn near make the playoff, because you got the 8 teams that usually make it. Then you got these what is it now? The play in the last couple of
Playing
years.
tournament.
So they added
Every
almost 10 teams, 10 out of 15 in the conference got a shot. Like, I mean, you just have to be horrible not to be in the picture. So they're technically right there in the picture to play in the play in, which anything can happen at that point, but we'll see.
the NBA is a mess right now.
Yeah, man, that's
The
a whole
NBA as a whole is a mess right now.
man. Look, there's a whole man. We could talk 2 more hours about that. But I think what we could do is talk about that next Sunday.
Yeah.
We can really dive into that next Sunday because there's so much that needs to be said about that. All right, well, gentlemen, I'm glad you all the live today, and everybody who's like giving roses and things like that. Like appreciate all that. Everybody who dialed in. We did good, man. We had a nice following tonight. I mean today, and I want everybody to enjoy the rest of their day. Uh, Nard, appreciate you being on Hot Tub, the one and only Hot Tub. Appreciate you being on as well, man.
You're welcome.
Always, bro.
You're
Always.
welcome. Any problem.
All right. Well, we out of here. And Nard, we'll check you out on Monday, the Nard Report on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
All right. Everybody take care. We out.
Peace.